Hello, I'm Rumer Legrendre, and my mentor is Vivian Conan. Tonight, I'm going to read my college essay, and Vivian will read a response. The prompt for the essay was, describe a place or environment where you are perfectly content. Finding my voice. It was like the sorting ceremony in Harry Potter. A lady dressed as a genie pulled two names out of the hat and rang a small bell. I stood, and so did the woman who would become my mentor for the next 3 years. She walked over, handed me a red rose, and we shook hands. Little did I know I had just found my safe haven, Girls Write Now, the after-school program that pairs high school girls who want to write with women mentors who are writers. I've always felt like the oddball. I'm left-handed, would rather read than converse with my friends on the train, and refuse drinks if they're red because the color reminds me of blood. I've never found a church group or after-school program that provided me with a feeling of fulfillment and belonging until Girls Write Now. Talking, laughing, writing. That's how I describe my weekly meetings with my mentor. Sometimes when I talk to her about my day, she picks out something I see no significance in, and it develops into a piece. Like when my sister's cat died, I hated the cat and was surprised that I felt sad. The resulting essay was, Love is Complicated. We also participate in monthly workshops on different genres. Even the ones I think I won't like surprise me. A slam poetry workshop was the last place I wanted to be, but I had to keep up my attendance to stay in the program. The workshop started with the guest speaker performing a poem. Mother, she spat. I immediately paid attention. With passion and anger, she dramatized how her mother had abandoned her. Then it was time for us to write our own poems. The first thought that entered my mind was, I don't have a dramatic life. I glanced at the prompts. I remember important person and thought of my grandmother. The way she told me to hold my head up high, her adventurousness, her teaching me that sometimes it was okay to do things a little differently. I picked up my pen and the words flowed out of me. Mama was more than just skin and bones. She had substance. I was so fired up that instead of reading on the train ride home, I wrote another poem, this time about myself. My mentor urged me to enter into a Project One Voice contest about being a woman of color in the 21st century, so I did. At the Girls Write Now annual performance readings, each mentee has her moment to shine. The first time I walked up on stage, I was shaking inside. Then I read the title of my poem, My Ideal Horrible Life. The audience laughed. I felt their energy and was exhilarated. When I heard the applause, my smile only widened. Connecting with my peers that night through our writing and high-fiving each other after we read made me feel I truly belonged. I won the Project One Voice contest and an invitation to read my poem at an event honoring the 40th anniversary of Nitazaki Shange's For Color Girls. Instead of my peers, there were only dignitaries and members of the press in the audience in front of me. I took a deep breath. Then word by word, I began to unravel into the woman I was describing on paper. I felt the entire audience was with me as I read the last lines. In my world, women are beings of beauty and power, with arms outstretched toward bright futures, filled with expectations beyond the stars. My world isn't a dream. It exists. It is here. I am me. Thank you.
I'm going to go off script for a minute and just say that that college essay got Rumer into 12 of the 14 colleges she applied for. And I'd also like to say that Rumer is going to be going to Brooklyn College, from which I graduated in 1964 and from which my mother graduated in 1936. And now I'm back on script. Rumer, I too remember the day we met. When I bought the rose, I didn't yet know to whom I would be giving it, but I knew it was going to be someone special. One of our earliest pair sessions was on Halloween, when raindrops from Hurricane Sandy were still in the air. We bounced around topics for a poem. When you couldn't think of one, I asked whether there was anything you had gone through that you felt had shaped you. No, you said, that's the trouble. You told me some girls you knew were dealing with difficult situations and you wished you had gone through something too. You felt that if you had, you would know you were prepared to face anything. Your poem wound up being about your ideal horrible life. In the 3 years since then, we've talked about many things. About your parents, immigrants from Venezuela and Trinidad, and my grandparents, immigrants from Greece and Turkey. About parallel structure and the active and passive voice. About the girl who said you acted white because you liked to read and study, and the boy I met on a blind date in college who stopped speaking to me during the date when he found out I was Jewish. It has been a joy to watch you venture out of your comfort zone with small steps, one leading to the next. Sometimes that involved taking special classes in school, like the Global Feminism module that opened up a whole new world for you. Sometimes it involved applying for after-school programs that you found on the internet or through the recommendation of a teacher. You applied to so many that occasionally you didn't remember what they were when you got a follow-up email, but you always managed to choose good ones. That's how you wound up learning to code websites and tutoring a second grader in reading and getting fit with the Roadrunners Club and volunteering to help seniors. You're even planning what you will apply for in college, an internship with a humanitarian program that lets you work with women in developing countries. You are a young woman who has agency, the ability to form your own opinions and chart your own path. That goes for your writing as well as your extracurricular activities. I love the way you let me know when you don't agree with an edit I suggest, and I'm continually amazed at your willingness to write with emotional honesty. There's a saying that it takes a village to raise a child. Parents like yours who believe in you and are always there for you. Teachers like Miss Jenkins, who was responsible for your birth as a feminist. Coaches from the Roadrunners Club, who also taught you leadership skills. I'm honored to be part of your village. There's a Yiddish word, naches, that means being filled with pride in the accomplishments of someone you love. I know your parents are feeling that right now, as am I. 3 years ago, you were a girl who felt she needed a horrible life to be a person of substance. Now you are a young woman with definite ideas of your place in the world. But I think the seed of that confidence was always inside you. When you wrote that first poem, you concluded by listing some good things about you, even though nothing bad had happened. You closed with, "The ideal horrible life I wanted will probably never occur, but it turns out I may not need it." How right you were. Thank you.